How to buy your very first rental property. Now, this is one of the most common conversations I have as a realtor here in Canada. I have a lot of friends who want to get into investing, but really have no idea how much money they need, how close they are, what they need to get done before starting that process, and really what the process involves as a whole. So that's what I'm going to do, a step-by-step guide to buying your very first rental property. But before I get into it, if you're new here, my name's Regan Mackey. I created this channel to teach you about real estate investing, personal finance, all that great stuff. So if you haven't done so yet, click subscribe to see all my future videos. Now let's get into it. So first things first is you're going to want to have your down payment. Now you want to look to have a 20 to 25% down payment. This is ideal if you want to have better rates, decreased payments, and obviously more cash flow. You can get away with 10% as a down payment, as your minimum down payment, but you're going to be better off if you have a higher down payment. All right, now that you have your down payment dealt with, you're going to want to increase your credit score. This is incredibly important to being approved for a mortgage. Now, unless you already have an amazing credit score, you can just skip this step. But if you don't know what your credit score is, or you don't know what a credit score is, I got you. A credit score is just a way to let you know how risky you are as an investment for a lender, or how reliable you are in paying back your debts. In Canada, a credit score is measured from a 300 to 900, 300 being a terrible credit score and 900 being amazing. Anything from 720 and above is considered a really good credit score. So I would aim to get your credit score above a 700 to be pre-approved or approved for a mortgage. So if you want to know how to increase your credit score, the first thing you should know is a credit score is all about your previous track record, how you pay back your debts. So the first thing I would suggest is stop using cash in your debit card and start using your credit card for everyday purchases, and then pay that back right away. Do not let your credit cards get away from you. Don't spend $10,000 on your credit score or a credit card and then just let that sit. Make sure you're paying it back right away. So make sure you have the cash in your bank account. Another thing is your credit score or your credit card utilization. So if you have $5,000 credit a month, don't use that entire $5,000. If you can get multiple credit cards, they all have $5,000, and then maybe just use $1,000 of each one and then pay that off just like you would on any other credit card. Make sure you have the money in your bank account and don't use the entire credit that you have. I'm not going to go too deep in improving your credit. You can search for another video on that, but that's just the basics. That's just the start. Start using your credit cards and paying it off all the time. So next, you're going to want to talk to lenders or a mortgage broker. A mortgage broker is going to be able to go around to different lenders and kind of shop the best rates for you, get the best rates, the lowest rates for your mortgage. Now, they're going to check your credit score, so it shouldn't be an issue because by then you'll have an amazing credit score. Then they're going to ask for your ID, your proof of down payment, and your ability to cover closing costs. Your closing costs are going to be anywhere from 1 to 2% of the purchase price. Then they're going to ask for your assets and your liabilities to determine your net worth. And then finally, you're going to want to have your tax returns in order so that they can look at all that documentation and start shopping around. So once you talk to your mortgage broker, they're going to get your mortgage pre-approval in place. Once you have your mortgage pre-approval, you're going to want to talk to a realtor who will be able to start showing you properties. Now, make sure you have somebody who has a proven track record or understands the market and understands real estate investment more specifically. There are a lot of realtors out there. I won't name names, but they will list their properties as good investment properties. But really, when you dive into the numbers, they are not good investments at all. They're just broken down properties. So make sure you have a realtor who definitely knows the market and understands how to calculate the numbers on a rental property. Now, once you have a good realtor, they're going to be able to set you up with a search. It will likely update you automatically in real time. It will just email you when new potentials come onto the market. Once you have a list of potentials, you're going to want to go look at a lot of properties. Do not write an offer on the first property you see. It's very easy to get emotional when it comes to real estate investment. You see a house and you see its potential and you get all excited, but do not do that. Stick to the numbers and make sure you see a lot of properties before you actually write an offer, because that way you will know that it's a special property and not one that you just fell in love with. Once you've looked at a ton of different properties in your market, you're going to have a better idea of what's a good property, what's a bad investment. Your realtor is also going to be able to help you out with this, but I made a video. I will link it up top and you can go and look at how to calculate the numbers on a rental property. But essentially what you're going to want to do is find how much you'll be making in rental income a month, and then subtracting your expenses. Your expenses are going to be things like taxes, insurance, utilities if you're paying that as a landlord. But once you subtract your expenses from what you're making per month in rental income, you're going to have your cash flow. Now, if your cash flows $100, $200, $500, whatever it is, that's what's in your pocket, but you still don't know if it's a good investment. How you know if it's a good investment or not is comparing how much you put into the deal, how much your down payment was, if you're fixing up the property, how much money is in the deal, and then comparing how much your cash flow is a month. That will determine if it is a good investment or not. So some things to consider when determining if it's a good investment property or not. One is location. I'm sure even if you're not in real estate, you've heard the term location, location, location. It's critically important that you find a property that's in a good location. This way you'll always have somebody who wants to rent in your rental property as your tenant. Places that are around universities, hospitals, and shopping centers are really, really great areas, high populated areas. You'll always have tenants. That way, if you lose your tenant, you won't get stuck paying your mortgage for a couple months before you get somebody back in there. So something else to keep in mind is looking for properties with a value add opportunity. This really means looking for a property that may be a little distressed and you fix it up, and obviously it's going to be worth more for you. So this can include just buying an outdated home and adding new floors, adding some paint, maybe bathrooms, kitchens, you're good to go. But you can get a little more intense with it. If you want to look for a property that's going to require a little bit more time and a little bit more money effort in terms of renovation, you may end up with a better profit in the end. So some ways that you can do this is look for homes that you have the opportunity to add a bedroom, or adding square footage is a really good way. I've seen people specifically go for homes where they can actually add a basement suite. It could be really lucrative for you. So definitely look for homes that you can add value to it. Now that you have a bunch of different properties that you think might be good for you, it's time to make some offers. So one thing to keep in mind when investing in real estate is there is no one property that would be a bad investment. It just depends on what price you get it at. So with keeping that in mind, don't be afraid to make multiple different offers on different houses. Make sure you go one by one so you're not getting stuck in contracts. Or having multiple offers accepted at once, and then you're stuck between three houses. But don't be afraid to submit low offers, and then if they say no, then on to the next. So don't be really stuck on one house. Don't be afraid to make multiple offers and see where it goes, because every house that you see makes sense at a certain price. So once you have an offer accepted, you're going to go into your due diligence phase. This is where your mortgage pre-approval is going to turn into a mortgage approval. Your lender or your mortgage broker will help you out with that. Another part of the due diligence phase is doing your home inspection. This is where you'll be able to tell if there's anything wrong with the home. At which point, if it comes back and say there's a $5,000 roof that needs to be redone, you can renegotiate with the sellers. You can go to them and say, hey, this house needs $5,000 worth of repairs. We're offering, say, $5,000 less. Now, you need to be careful with that because you can offend the sellers and completely lose a deal. But within reason, you can actually renegotiate after a house inspection, and your due diligence continues until you come to an agreed upon contract. Once you have an agreed upon contract, you're going to have the day where you take possession of the home. This is where your lawyer will come into play. They will transfer the funds, and then they'll call your lawyer. You'll have what is called key release. This is where your realtor will take possession of the keys, and they will likely meet you at the home and give you the keys, gives you access to your new property. So once you have access to your new property, you have your possession. You're going to want to get started on your renovations as soon as possible. You don't want to get stuck for a couple months paying your mortgage before you even get started on renos. You want to get the renos done and get renters in there as soon as possible. Now, when it comes to renovating a property, you can either do it yourself or you can get a skilled contractor. I recommend getting a contractor. If you're not skilled or competent or confident when it comes to flipping properties, I've seen it many times where people watch HGTV and they get all excited about flipping a home. They think they can do it in a week and they'll be good to go. Don't get stuck in that trap if you don't have experience. Definitely go through a contractor. Now, when choosing a contractor, you're going to want to look at multiple different ones. First, look at reviews online if you can. And then talk to multiple different contractors, make them walk through your project and give you bids on how long it will take them and how much money they'll charge you to do so. Once you've picked your one contractor, go through, make sure you have a definite scope of work. This is essentially just a piece of paper writing down exactly what the project has to have done and exactly how much it's going to cost them to do each thing. Don't allow them to just give you a price on the entire project. Make them break it down, say a couple grand for the bathroom, a couple grand for the kitchen, exactly what they say. Otherwise, you're going to get screwed over and you're going to have to pay a little bit more than you were expecting. So once they start the project, make sure you are stopping by the project every single day. You need to be on site every single day just to make sure that your project is on the right path and things are moving along quickly. So definitely important to be on your project every single day, even if you have somebody else doing the work for you. Once you have your renovations done, you're going to want to get tenants in there paying your rent as quickly as possible. So make sure you have professional looking photography taken. Don't just take photos with your iPhone. You'll attract much more attention and get renters in there quickly. It'll be worth it in the end if you spend extra money to get professional photography. Now, then you post your rental listing wherever you can, Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, Craigslist, I guess if you're in the States. And then you're good to go. You're going to be collecting cash flow. You're going to have extra money in your pocket, and that house is going to continue to just pay itself off, and you'll be good to go. Now, the best thing about this is you can implement a number of strategies, including the BRRRR strategy. I've made another video on that. But you can scale now. Once you have your first deal done, you're good to go. You can scale that to as many rental properties as you want and have as much freedom as you want. Now you know how to do it. So that is it, your step-by-step guide to buying your very first rental property. I hope you got some value out of it. I put a lot of work into this video, so I would really appreciate a like. It would help other people see this video if you got any value from it. And if you'd like to see any of my future videos, definitely hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.